fee rise that came in 2012. That's now fully out of the system for 4-year courses. That contributed to the fall. Also things like the fall in the price of clothing, particularly coats. Well, that's partly because they rose substantially in September. So sometimes it's not actually the reflection that you think it is of what's happening to prices. But it is undoubtedly true that if you look further down the line, both that prices of goods leaving the factory, they're rising by about 2% compared to a year ago. And if you look at raw prices and oil, they're rising by about 4.6%. So I think the signals are very clear, even though there may be some blips on the road when we get there.
OK, given that, if you are thinking about looking ahead to 2017, planning your family budget, trying to keep a check of your finances within this uncertainty and within this clear warning that prices will go up, what is your advice to people now?
I think it's to control the costs that you can control and to try and build in a bit of a buffer. So, I mean, we're always told to do things like switch suppliers, and I think a lot of people probably roll their eyes and feel quite bored by it. But, I mean, figures from the regulator Ofgem show that, say, the average cost of a tariff is about £1,077. The cheapest is about £750. You know, you can make savings. So those costs that you can control, try and control them, whether it is weekly shopping, energy bills, insurance. I think the two interesting figures will be, in December, at the end of December, we'll get consumer spending figures. I think those will determine how far retailers think they can go in putting up prices. What we're also beginning to see is increasing costs of debts on things like credit cards. If you have those debts, try and pay them down as well. OK,
sage advice. Sarah Pennell, thank you very much. Thousands of prison officers stopped work at midnight, claiming jails are in meltdown. Legally, they're not allowed to go on strike, so in the last half an hour, the government has begun a High Court bid to block further industrial action. The protest comes after a number of high-profile problems in prisons in England, including a murder and prisoner escapes at Pentonville in London. Juliet Bremner is there for us now. What impact is this action having today?
Well, most immediately that the prison officers are outside rather than inside the jail. You can probably see behind me at the moment, I'm at Pentonville, some officers in the courtyard here. They came out at midnight, but around the country, the Prison Officers Association, their union, is saying about 10,000 of their members have joined in what they're calling a day of protest. What it means, apart from that, is that prisoners will spend the whole day locked up in their cells. They can't be taken to court for trials, and there are no visits that will happen. Now, this is a culmination of various events that have gone over the last few weeks. It started at Bedford Prison at the beginning of the month. As you can see from this mobile footage, there was riots there, and it took several hours for prison officers to regain control. And that was followed by a very serious incident here at Pentonville, where an inmate was stabbed and killed and 2 others seriously injured. And then 2 more inmates just a week later escaped. They have now been recaptured. The Prison Officers Association say that this is their last straw. They have no alternative. Their members are in danger and prisons are in meltdown.
A day of protest is to send a message across. It's not about anything prolonged. It's a last straw that we've taken, and as I say, it's our final cry for help to the Secretary of State to intervene.
A clear message from the government right back to them. They're in the High Court taking legal action right now.
That's right, they are trying to get an injunction to stop this. Liz Truss, the Justice Secretary, is really angry because she's just announced a £1.3 billion investment scheme and 2,000 plus new staff. And she says that they were talking anyway.
And over the last 2 weeks, my team has been holding talks with the POA on a range of measures to improve safety. These talks were due to continue this morning. Instead, the POA failed to respond to our proposals and called this unlawful action without giving any notice.
Prison officers say they need action now. They need talks to make sure prisoners spend longer in their cells, because if they don't, their members are in danger, and action in a few years' time just doesn't do anything for them.
All right, Juliet Bremner, thank you. There are reports this lunchtime that the siege of eastern Aleppo may be headed towards a bloody conclusion. Russia has confirmed it's launched a series of air attacks using missiles and jets flying from the country's only aircraft carrier, which has been moved off the coast of Syria. Our correspondent Dan Rivers is here. Is this the beginning of an endgame then?
It does feel like it's the beginning of an endgame that may last for months. I mean, it's a big chunk of territory they need to retake in eastern Aleppo. But the Russian Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu confirmed that they were targeting ammunition depots, arms factories, training camps in Homs and Idlib province. Not at the moment saying that they're targeting eastern Aleppo, but certainly we're getting reports from inside eastern Aleppo saying they're seeing planes in the sky and seeing the evidence of airstrikes, huge explosions going off. The Russian military has moved all these ships close off the shore of Syria. Now, how much of that is posturing and sort of gesture deployment and how much it really changes their ability to strike? Don't forget they've got an awful lot of planes already in Syria at the Himinim air base. But clearly this comes just a day after Donald Trump had that conversation with Vladimir Putin. We don't know what was said, but was there some sort of tacit agreement given that they could go ahead and try and finish off the rebels in eastern Aleppo?
Dan Rivers, thank you. Here, the Prime Minister's aides have insisted they don't recognise a leaked memo which suggests the government has no overall plan for Brexit. The document says 30,000 civil servants will be needed to make an exit from the EU work. The Times newspaper suggested it was written by a consultant hired by the Cabinet Office, but the government claims it was actually written by an accountancy firm that was pitching for work. The preferred route for the northern section of HS2 has been announced today by the government. Phase 2 of the high-speed rail project will see the line run from Crewe to Manchester and the West Midlands to Leeds, but not till 2033. The first phase is due to open in December 2026 and will see trains travel at high speed between London and Birmingham. But there's still no decision on whether the second phase includes a new station in Sheffield after proposals to run trains to the Meadowhall shopping centre were shelved. Ben Chapman is in Mexborough, which will be directly affected by that decision. Ben, what's the situation there today?
Well, if that uncertainty finally gets cleared up and they decide to have that station in Sheffield city centre, as you talked about, this is where part of that HS2 line will run straight through the middle of this housing estate, which was only built in the last 2 or 3 years. Everything here will have to come down to make way for it. Let me take you inside Sue and Pete's home. Now, they moved in 2.5 years ago. They were intending to live out their retirement here, and they got the news that this is now the government's preferred option for the new route of the northern section of HS2. Sue, how do you feel about the situation that now confronts you?
Devastated, but not at all surprised. Right from the word go, we've been treated with total contempt, total lack of concern. Nobody would answer our questions. And it was almost as if it was a foregone conclusion right from the start.
And Pete, you know, the government would say, look, this is important for the economy of the north of England. It's got to go somewhere, so why not here?
There are alternatives that appear not to have been looked at. HS UK, for instance, have costed out a route to do exactly the same with better connectivity. Total demolitions, 5 properties. Here they're talking 240 just in Mexborough alone.
And what sort of impact do you think it will have on not just you but your neighbours as well?
It will change the area forever. It will devastate Mexborough. The construction doesn't bear thinking about. And people are not going to find similar homes anywhere else where they can live.
Sue and Pete, thank you very much. The government says, you know, that it is important for the UK that this HS2 railway is built. Residents can now apply for compensation, and a final decision on the route will be taken next year.
Ben Chapman, thank you. Still to come, why many people say parents are going over the top with online snaps of their children. And how the fantasy game of Quidditch is getting a real-life Premier League. But first, tourists and residents in New Zealand are being taken to safety by rescue workers in the areas hardest hit by powerful earthquakes. Hundreds of aftershocks are still being felt, with some towns cut off by massive landslides. As Neil Connery explains, recovery efforts are also being hampered by bad weather.
Rescued from a town completely cut off by New Zealand's powerful earthquake. Navy helicopters ferrying those trapped in the town of Kaikoura. The relief on the faces of those affected clear to see. South Island has borne the brunt of the quake, with landslips blocking road and rail networks.
You can see the corner of the house there. It's split.
And everything's just been tossed around.
Come through here. Yeah, that wardrobe was actually in that cupboard there.
Those who live near Kaikoura now face the job of clearing up the destruction left by the quake.
Look at our kitchen. Look at our kitchen wall. Hey, isn't it amazing?
Hundreds of homes remain without power. New Zealand's Prime Minister has flown over the worst affected areas and spoke of the ongoing rescue operation.
We think there's a list of about 140 people that we're looking to get out of Kaikoura as rapidly as we can. They're on a priority list. It's obviously subject to weather.
Burst water mains along with heavy rains are hampering the relief operation. But there was some good news for these 3 cows who'd been left high and dry after the quake, who've finally been rescued. Neil Connery, ITV News.
EasyJet has reported a 28% plunge in annual profits despite carrying a record number of passengers over the past 12 months. The carrier has blamed the fall on the pound's collapse, the impact of terror attacks and air control strikes. The company now plans to review its costs. And the FBI hacking suspect, Laurie Love, now faces trial in the US after the UK signed an order to have him extradited. The 31-year-old, who has Asperger's syndrome, is accused of stealing large amounts of data from US government agencies and causing millions of dollars worth of damage. Next, do you post pictures of your children online? Well, a new survey has found that 71% of people think parents post too much information about their children on social media. 37% of parents haven't thought about how their children may feel about having their photos shared when they get older. And of those parents who are happy to post, 82% say it's to connect with friends and family they don't see often enough. Well, joining me now are 2 parenting bloggers with different views on photo sharing. Alison Perry from Not Another Mummy blog and Letty Maciel from the Inside Edit website. They both join me now. Thank you very much. Alison, if I can start with you, to share or not share. You do share photos of your children, but very specifically, you don't show their faces. I think we can look at some of your children's photos. Take me through why you are keen to not show your daughter's face.
So I made a decision when I started my blog that my daughter is her own person and that she really has the right to decide what her online footprint is, what her social footprint is. So while I do share photographs of her, they're from behind or from the side so that it doesn't have any ramifications when she's older.
You take a very different view to this. There are lots of photos of your family, your 2 children online. Why?
Well, our blog is really about parenting and the experience of parenting in London. So we just want to feel a connection. A lot of people are asking us, you know, what are your family, who your kids are, what do they look like? And it's just a fun way of sharing our life and, you know, telling them a story, really.
Alison, have you got any problem with Letty choosing to do that as opposed to your decision about your family and your child?
I don't have a problem. The way I look at it is that, you know, as parents, we are faced with multiple decisions to make every day, the way we bring up our own children, and it's not our place to judge other people. You know, I have this conversation with so many parents and friends all the time, and just like how you feed your baby, you know, all those decisions that we make every day, it's just one of those decisions to make.
What about this thought about what your children may think? They're 3 and 4 now.
Yeah.
When they grow older, if you've got that picture of them sitting on the loo or anything that's kind of might embarrass them when they're 18.
There's certainly no pictures of the loo and certainly no bath pictures. In fact, most of the pictures I take or my husband Zach takes, and it's just, I think they'll be quite happy. And my 3-year-old daughter always goes on my Instagram page and says, "Mommy, I look so cute in that picture." So I think, you know, she'll be happy and he'll be happy with it.
And what if your daughter, she's 6 6 now. When she grows up, she decides, maybe when she gets her own device, her own phone, when she's a bit older, that she wants to share her photos.
That's
what
fine.
will you do in that situation?
Fine. Yeah, I mean, at the moment she's 6 and she's desperate to have a YouTube channel. She keeps asking me if she can have her own channel, film videos, be on YouTube. And I've said no. But when she's older, if she wants to do that, that will be fine.
That's what they all want to do nowadays. Alison and Letty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can continue that discussion on our Facebook page and take part in a poll on whether you should post pictures of your children online. That's at facebook.com/ITV News. Finally, this lunchtime, how a J.K. Rowling invention became a real thing. All Harry Potter fans know how the flying game Quidditch is a core part of life at Hogwarts. But few realise they can now play the game themselves here. Well, kind of. Chris Cunningham reports on how the UK is getting its own Quidditch Premier League.
Watch yourself, Harry! Look out!
Brooms, bludgers and quaffles. Not so long ago, Quidditch was only to be found in the fantastical world of Harry Potter, but no longer, as the non-magical version boasts over 20,000 Muggle players worldwide, and now 8 teams from across the UK will compete in the first ever Quidditch Premier League.
We want to take Quidditch to the next level in the UK. We want to give it maximum impact possible for the most people. And I think having this kind of local team with absolute national coverage will allow people to really get involved no matter who they are over the summer months when previously there hadn't been much of the sport happening.
So, no flying, no magic, and the golden snitch replaced by a sock. But despite the apparent oddities, organisers say its success lies in its accessibility.
Well, there's always a certain element of ridiculousness. I mean, you are running around with a broom between your legs based on Harry Potter. There's that certain don't take yourself too seriously about it. But I think what really makes it stand out is how progressive it is.
Seeing its meteoric rise in popularity, there are even whispers of the game one day being played at the Olympics. So even though for now players' feet may never actually leave the ground, the game may soon reach truly impressive heights. Chris Cunningham, ITV News.
And that's all we've got time for so far today. Maureen Nightingale and Mark Austin will be here with the ITV Evening News at 6:30. From the Lunchtime team, bye-bye.